Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never thought a single joke could unravel years of quiet understanding between two people. It started as harmless teasing, the kind couples throw around when they've been married long enough to believe nothing can actually hurt anymore. But I learned that night, some words don't echo, they explode. My name's Hannah, and I've been married to Daniel for 11 years. We met in college. He studied engineering, I was in business administration. Back then, Daniel was the kind of man who made silence feel safe. He didn't talk much, but when he did, you listened. He had a calmness that made me feel grounded, like nothing could ever really go wrong as long as he was in the room. Over the years, though, that quiet strength started to look like passivity. He didn't argue, didn't react, didn't fight back. I used to think it meant he didn't care enough. So I filled the silence, with sarcasm, with small jabs, with playful teasing that I told myself was harmless. That night we were at a friend's dinner party. About a dozen people, all familiar faces. Wine glasses, laughter, that background hum of casual gossip and subtle comparison. Someone made a joke about aging, about how marriages change once you hit your 40s. And I stupidly chimed in. Well, I said, smirking, if Daniel keeps forgetting our anniversary, I might just replace him with someone younger. You know, an upgrade. There was laughter. The kind of shallow, polite laughter people give when they're not sure if it's really funny. Daniel didn't laugh. He didn't even look at me at first. He just sipped his drink, his eyes somewhere past the table, like he was trying to decide whether the moment deserved his energy. Then, still calm, he looked at me and smiled. Not the warm kind. The kind that chills you because it means he's already decided something you don't know yet. He said softly, "That's fair, Hannah. I guess I'll replace you with someone who remembers who stood by her when nobody else would." The room went dead silent. Even the music in the background felt like it paused. I laughed, out of reflex, but my stomach dropped. Everyone shifted uncomfortably, pretending to check their phones or pour more wine. My joke had suddenly turned into something raw and heavy. And his response wasn't loud or cruel. It was precise. Like he'd been holding it in for years and finally let it out, clean and quiet. The rest of the evening blurred. People avoided eye contact. Daniel stayed polite, offered to help clean up, thanked the hosts. On the drive home, he didn't say a word. Just the hum of the tires and the distant sound of traffic. I kept glancing at him, searching for something. Anger, sadness, anything, but he was unreadable. Just calm, like he'd already made peace with something I hadn't yet understood. When we got home, I tried to lighten the mood. "Hey, come on. You know I was joking." He looked at me, and for the first time I realized he wasn't hurt. He was disappointed. "There's a difference," he said quietly, "between joking and disrespecting someone who's done nothing but love you." I wanted to defend myself, say that everyone teases their spouse, that he was being too serious. But the words didn't come out, because deep down I knew he was right. It wasn't the first time. It was just the first time he answered back. That night he slept in the guest room. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying years of small, harmless moments, the times I cut him off mid-sentence, the sarcastic jokes about him forgetting things, the way I brushed off his quiet acts of care because they weren't loud or grand. The next morning, Daniel was already dressed for work when I came downstairs. He had his coffee, his laptop bag, and that same unreadable calmness. "You're leaving early?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Yeah," he said. "A few things I need to handle." It wasn't unusual, but the tone was. There was distance in it. Not anger, just distance. He didn't kiss me goodbye. And somehow that absence hurt more than any fight could have. That entire day felt heavier than usual. The house was quiet, too quiet. No background hum of Daniel typing in the study, no kettle whistling, no soft footsteps moving from room to room. I thought about calling him, maybe apologizing, but something in me hesitated. Maybe pride. Maybe fear of confirming that my joke had actually wounded him in a way I couldn't undo. By evening, he still hadn't come home. I checked my phone more times than I could count, No messages. Just silence. That silence that used to comfort me now felt like a punishment. Around 9 p.m. I heard the door open. He walked in calmly, carrying a grocery bag. "Did you eat?" he asked. His tone was flat, polite but detached. I shook my head. He placed the bag on the counter. "There's pasta. You can warm it up." It wasn't the words. It was the tone. The absence of warmth in a man who once used to tuck my hair behind my ear when I was upset. I felt my throat tighten. "Daniel, please. Don't do this." I said something stupid. I didn't mean it. He looked at me then, eyes calm but unreadable. "It's not about what you meant, Hannah. It's about what you believe you can say without consequence." I didn't know how to respond. The truth was I had believed that he'd always absorb the blow, always forgive, always stay. And I realized how much I had taken that for granted. Over the next few days, things stayed civil but cold. He went to work, came home, did his routine. He didn't raise his voice, didn't lash out. But the air between us was heavy, the kind of silence that follows words you can't unsay. On Friday night our friends' group chat buzzed, the same people from that dinner party. One of them texted privately, "Hey, everything okay between you and Daniel?" He seemed different. I typed a reply, deleted it, then put the phone down. 'Cause what could I say? That a single sentence had shifted the foundation of our marriage. That weekend, Daniel didn't make plans. Normally we'd go hiking or visit his parents. Instead, he spent most of the day fixing things around the house. The garage shelf, the leaky faucet, even the loose kitchen cabinet I'd ignored for months. It was like he was tidying up pieces of his life, quietly preparing for something I couldn't name. That night I finally said, "Are we okay?" He paused, then said, "I'm not angry, Hannah. I'm just awake." "Awake," echoed. He nodded slowly. For years I thought patience was strength, that letting things slide meant peace. But I realized silence doesn't always mean forgiveness. Sometimes it's exhaustion. His words landed like stones. Not loud, but heavy enough to break something inside me. I wanted to say sorry again, but I knew that wouldn't fix it. Sorry only works when the damage hasn't settled in. Sunday morning. He handed me a small envelope before leaving the house. Inside was a single sheet of paper. His handwriting neat, precise. "Hannah, you're not a bad person. But somewhere along the way we stopped treating each other like partners. I became the quiet man you could joke about, and you became the woman I couldn't reach anymore. Maybe this space will help us remember who we were before the noise. Take care of yourself, Daniel." I didn't realize I was crying until the paper blurred. I wanted to run after him, to tell him he didn't have to go. But something in his tone, that same calm certainty, told me he'd already decided. It wasn't a punishment. It was a boundary. He stayed with his brother for a while after that. We spoke a few times. Short, polite conversations about bills, the house, the dog. Never about us. He wasn't cruel. He was just done. Weeks passed. The friends who once laughed at my joke now avoided the topic altogether. It was a reminder of my own arrogance. How easy it is to confuse humor with humiliation, especially when the target is someone who never hits back. Then, one evening I found an old picture of us, from our first road trip. We were laughing at something small, faces sunburned, eyes bright. I realized that the man I joked about replacing was the same man who once made me feel safe enough to laugh freely. And I'd turned that laughter into a weapon. The next morning I texted him. Not to beg, not to explain, just to acknowledge. "You were right. Silence doesn't mean peace. I'm sorry it took losing you to understand that." He replied hours later. "I know. I just hope you never let anyone turn your worth into a punchline, including yourself." That was the last message we exchanged. I don't know if our story counts as tragedy or lesson, but I know this. Respect isn't built through grand gestures or endless patience. It's built in the tiny moments when you choose kindness over cleverness, empathy over ego. And sometimes, The cruelest thing about love is realizing that the person you hurt most was the only one who ever stayed when the room went silent.